Hey everybody, it's your Boomer Consumer, and this video is all about the topping E50 Dac. Now, as a disclaimer, this was sent to me as a loaner by APOS, as APOS, for review. However, all opinions are my own, and no one has reviewed this video prior to posting. So who is this DAC for? Well, you can use it with your PC, you could use it with a network streamer, you could use it with a television, maybe a CD transport. That way, there's a lot of different uses for one of these desktop DACs. But one thing I want to bring up, and I think this is important, don't get hung up on the chip. What determines the sound of a DAC is going to be its output stage. And this has a very good sounding output stage. Now let's talk a little bit about the features and specs of the E50. First off, total harmonic distortion is 0.000009%. In other words, it's so low, there is no harmonic distortion here. You get a 16-core XMOS CPU. You get the Sabre E9068AS DAC chip. You get a DSD of 512 and 32-bit 768 on the USB. Coax and optical is capable of 24-bit at 192 kilohertz. You get full MQA rendering via USB. It can function not only as a DAC, but also in preamp mode. So with that, you could, of course, hook it up to powered speakers or to a power amplifier, and off you go. You get RCA as well as TRS inputs on here, and there is a link to the full description below. I should say TRS outputs, balanced outputs on here as well. A little bit about the setup. On the front panel, you have this LED display. Right now I have this running in DAC mode only, but if you had it in preamp mode, then you would have your volume on here. There is a soft touch button here on the front. You can't really see it probably in the video, but that's how you get to the settings. And as far as the settings go, I find it a bit on the fiddly side to get into the settings. Essentially, you have to be in standby mode. You press and hold for 3 seconds, and then you're into standby, or you're into setup mode. Click once to go through each and every setting. Double click, I believe sets it. You get the idea. I'm not really going to go through all that, but you can adjust the brightness on there, the default outputs, etc., using the setup on the DAC. There is no headphone jack on here. That's what the L50 amplifier, headphone amplifier is for, and that's going to be an upcoming review as well. All right, let's just talk a little bit about the remote. Now, my demo did not come with the remote. However, I used the topping DX3 Pro Plus, and I'm pretty sure this is the same basic remote that you would get with the E50. Of course, power off and on. Mute, that works whether you're in preamp mode or DAC mode. Line out will change the various sources. So like that is just your single-ended. That's to your balanced only. And then both. Of course, I'm running in single-ended mode. That changes your line out. This would be volume up, volume down. Again, moving through your various inputs right there on the optical. This button doesn't do anything. You have your filters. By the way, I cannot really tell any difference using the filter, so I just kind of stick with the default filter. I believe this button doesn't do anything. This adjusts the brightness of the display. You can see that's very dim. There you go, L2, L3. And then LA is actually the same as L2, but it turns the display off after like 30 seconds. So I'm just going to put it back to L3. And there we go. And then the auto button for turning it off or on when it gets the signal automatically. Basically, this is what you want to use 99.9% of the time with this DAC. On the back side of the E50, you have your two balanced outputs as well as your single-ended outputs left and right. Then you have your coaxial connection, you have your optical, USB, and then where your power plug would go. And that's what's on the back of the E50. Now let's talk a little bit about the sound of the E50. So all my sources are digital. I built a kind of put together a digital rig. So I have a NAS where I rip all my CDs to. I use Amazon Music HD for streaming, as well as Apple Music. No, I don't subscribe to Tidal or Qobuz. And I do have a subscription to Spotify, but mostly I'm either streaming from my NAS. CD quality Redbook is just fine for me. But also for high res, I can either get that through Apple Music or the Amazon app. But mostly when I'm using this setup, I'm using the Amazon Music HD. Music I listened to, some of it was from the Molly Hatchet, Flirting with Disaster. I'm pretty much a classic rock and roll kind of guy. And I just thought, listening to this versus the other topping DACs, I felt that it sounded essentially the same as my DX3 Pro. The DS10 basically, to me, sounded pretty much the same. You just get a lot more features with this DAC, but it still sounded excellent. The mid-range and vocals on Flirting with Disaster track was outstanding. Next, I listened to some Ahmed Jamal, great pianist, by the way. What can I say? The piano was very clean. The bass on there was very good. There was a track called But Not For Me, just wonderful, and the very good degree of spaciousness as well, and imaging. Another track I want to talk about was from Al Green, his track Call Me. Wow, just sounded absolutely fantastic. This DAC does a great job. The output quality is excellent. A lot of features on here that you're getting that you don't get in some of the less expensive topping DACs. But there they are. Just some of the pros and cons of this DAC. First off, you're getting a lot of functionality for the price, right? You're getting DSD, you're getting PCM, you're getting an MQA renderer, if that is important to you. You're getting a balanced output. You're getting really fantastic specs on here. And I think it's a wonderful sounding DAC for the price, for $200. You're definitely, I don't think, going to go wrong. As far as the cons, well, it doesn't come with the little wall wart 5-volt power adapter. You just get a USB cord with a barrel plug on the end of it. So bring your own. That should have been included, in my opinion. Setup I thought was a bit on the fiddly side. I'm not really crazy about but once you do it, it's set and forget, right? Once I got into DAC mode, you're done. If you don't feel like you need MQA and some of these other features, if you're using with a PC, you're using a USB input, then I think maybe the DS10 is, for $100, is just as good a way to go as this. And that's my honest opinion of the topping E50 DAC. And we'll be doing a review of the L50 headphone amplifier shortly. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.